house, not getting into that energy drain place. Oh my gosh, it's so hot. That's called a mental affliction. Yeah. And if we start to look at it as it's named, if we can name it, we can work with it. So what's a mental affliction? A mental affliction is anything that does not allow you to have peace in your mind. Yeah. So there's a whole bunch of mental afflictions, isn't there? Yeah. And we need to start, it's in our best interest. We don't have to do anything, but it is in our best interest. I'll get some essential oil sitting here. It's nice to put the Palmarosa in the space of the neck as well. And I put it here for heightened listening. Anyways, so it's best to take a look at what our mental afflictions are that are coming up, right? So if it gets to be past our comfort zone as far as the heat wave is concerned, and we start to complain or go into a pity party, I like to call it when I do that, it's like, okay, Deborah, name you. Don't say I'm in a pity party. Put your name on it. Okay, Deborah, it's time to get out of your pity party. What are you going to do? Have a glass of water with some lemon in it and some ice. Have some glass of water with some raspberries in it and some ice. Add that little component of specialness to your grumpy time. And, make a list of things that are healthy that can take you out of your funk, right? And, a lot of people are dancing now. Swamping is part of our process that we do on Saturdays in our yogic philosophy practice, where we're studying chapter 4 of Patanjali's Yoga Sutras. And for an hour, we swamp before, and that's just doing various taking attitude into various dance moves, I guess you could say. You get rid of your anger, you get rid of your sadness, or you just allow the body to move through it. And we go into even the sensualness of the body, and then come out into and sit for an hour and a half and go through our study, our Yoga Sutras. So I'm going to bring that back into here today because it's so important. I love taking what I learn and immediately applying it into the world that I like to visit, and that's you guys. I'm here to share because I love you and I care. And I think it's really important that we all step into greater education. Part of my tagline, live bliss, teach bliss, be bliss. Live bliss is to re-educate ourselves. I'm a firm believer that we know this stuff and we're a one consciousness. So everybody knows this stuff, just perhaps in a different language, and however that language shows up for you. So we re-educate ourselves, we educate ourselves, and then we embody it, meaning it's one thing to read a book. It's one thing to study it. It's another thing to bring it into the action of your life, to embody it, to feel like, to really get that feeling of that self-sense of that deep learning. I've got goosebumps all over me. Deep learning that you're stepping into. And when you take that knowledge, you embody it, then you be that. And as long as you're studying something that's of higher learning, that is easily bliss. Bliss is with us every second of every day, of every nanosecond. And it's our choice. It's just the mental afflictions and our energetic body, the depletion of our energetic body that gets in the way. And how does our energetic body get depleted? With this nonsense, chaos talk. It takes us out of safety. It puts us into survival mode. It triggers us into, oh my gosh, I've got a saber-toothed tiger chasing me. It doesn't allow us to make decisions. We get all muddled in our heart that nobody loves me, and nobody needs to love me because I love me, and I know that some other sources love me too, especially my grandmas that have passed, my grandpas that have passed. There's in my world, there's spirit realm of my past people before me that I know loved me. Even if this moment in time, I don't feel like I have a single living person that loves me right now, I know that there is somebody. So to hold on to that, and only with that enlightened thinking and remembrance and education can we get ourselves there. And it helps to calm this. I trust and just surrender, and I just say, here you go. It's outside of my skill set. Take it, and, please offer me back the highest and greatest good for me, or better. Sometimes I just have to do that. I was trying to start the darn power washer yesterday, and I'm just like, okay, this isn't going well. I surrender this, and I ask for the greatest outcome. And you can often say, I ask for the greatest outcome for myself and for all beings as well. I came back in and I did a project that I knew I would be successful at. I needed to balance the scales of success and failure. So I didn't go through the day as like, well, this day was an utter fail. Let's be reasonable and really take a look at your situation. Insert that magic chuckle, like, oh my gosh, okay. I'm closing the door on this one. I'm not dealing with it anymore, right? Because if we take ourselves and situations too seriously, that is really going to take us down the gravy train of disappointment. And it's like the ladder that I've got bruises all over myself. We were taking out countertops yesterday. That was my successful project. We would take it to that analogy of the ladder. When we talked about stress and anxiety a couple months back, and we need to see where we are on that rung, because we don't want to get to that top of that step of that ladder that says, do not step here, because then it becomes life-threatening, right? However that looks for you, whether it's depression, suicidal thoughts, falling off the ladder, banging your head, and having a serious accident, like whatever that is. So when we're looking at the chaos in our mind and where it can potentially take us, it can take us to all those places. It can create that stress. It can create that disappointment. It can take that rung up to despair. It can take that another rung up to hopelessness. Like when we get to hopelessness, that's serious business, folks. We don't want to be there. We need to take action at that first rung, preferably, to step ourselves back down to earth, onto the ground, to stable foundational footings, and to feel into the earth, right? To feel into Mother Earth and know that she is there with us. She is our Schumann residence. She is our healing point. And when we take a look at, so this was part of the teachings on Saturday, when we take a look at that person, place, or thing, whether it brings us bliss or whether it brings us disappointment, frustration, stress, whatever that other side looks like, fear, agitation, whatever agitation or chaos it's creating for you, we are the maker of those. And that situation can be real as we feel it, but it is not from the other person. It is our experience of that situation that likens to what we are feeling, right? Now, can you grasp that? So if somebody is yelling at me, it is my experience that someone is yelling at me. But if it was somebody else who had never in their lifetime, ever in their lifetime been yelled at, that they even have that notion of within their, what you call psyche, their beingness, they would not potentially look at that as yelling. They wouldn't identify with that as yelling. Do you see what I'm saying? Or if they had no experience of that. So because I've experienced that before and I identify it as anger or yelling, then it is my opportunity in the gift of that moment to look at it differently and change that experience, and maybe not meet that experience with my experience of that experience, however it might have affected me in the past. I might have related that when somebody raises their voice and starts screaming at me, that I'm going to get hit, right? So now I'm going to get triggered because now I'm in survival mode. Somebody is yelling at me. I'm instantly going to go into a trigger. Some other person that's being yelled at, they might just like, oh, that's my cue to walk away, right? Or wish them well and walk away. You know, I wish you a better day. Thank you. I'm not involved with this. And it's outside of my skill set. So I'm sorry, I'm going to have to hang up the phone or walk away. Whatever that is, we can plant that new seed. So this is called a ripening of a seed. When we have a reaction to something, it's ripening. And we can make that choice to step into that situation and say, this is my past experience with this. I'm not going to allow this to be my present experience with this. So that's where your education comes in. And I'm going to embody a new experience by planting a new seed. If you want an apple tree, you need to plant apples. I'm going to plant an apple because in the future, I want people to come to me and offer me the fruit of life, not the pain of life. So every time I am met with pain or confusion or frustration or agitation, I'm going to keep planting that apple tree. And soon what I plant, the seeds that I plant become my forest or my orchard. I want an orchard of apple trees. So I'd love for you just to take this notion forward with you this week. And man, oh man, when you start taking and planting those apple seeds and your trees of apple trees start growing, and all of a sudden you've got this bountiful forest. It is there when you can start to share your apples, right? I'm sharing my apples because they're delicious and life should be delicious. So I want you to go out there and plant some apple seeds and make an orchard for yourself. And if you need help, trust me, I'm an expert at this. I work with the mental body and the energetic body. And when we get our energy centers all on board as in balanced dynamic energy centers, also known as the chakras, and bring our energy field on board when we do that, it's much easier to educate ourselves with our higher self. So please reach out. My name is Deborah O'Neill. I'm the CEO and founder of Bliss.me, Integrative Holistic Health. Like I said, I'm here to share because I love you and I care. And I want us, the whole world, I want us all to turn into, these superhumans eating their fruits from their apple orchards so that we can share the fruit of us with the rest of the world and get the world on board. It takes that tipping point. It takes us, each and every single one of us, to step into the gift of this knowledge and the embodiment of this work. I love you so very much. Reach out to me, DM me, call me. My number is totally accessible, 604-551-8887. And email me at info@blissbe.me, M-E for mental body and energetic body. Make it a fabulous day. Stay safe. And if you're here, stay cool.